Welcome back to episode 20 of Appalachian Dim Sum.
Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back. How you doing, Joel?
Good.
What's our tagline?
Appalachian Dim Sum, where our entertainment is our comfort food.
There you go.
Hopefully for y'all too,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Well, this is going to be our main course for this month. We're going to be talking about the Shawshank Redemption.
As selected at random from our bowl of fortune cookies.
Yep.
In our last recording session, I forget what episode that would have been at this point, a couple ago.
18, I think,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah. But we always have some sort of actual food, an actual dim sum to go along with our entertainment dim sum. And this time, I've kind of gotten into the idea of making like themed food. I made the little graboid mochis and
the trimmer's poo.
The trimmer's poo, and that was entertaining to me. So
it was entertaining because that's one of those set in a bowl in the refrigerator for like a week and a half. Like nobody would even throw it away. I was like, why don't y'all just throw that out? And they're like, why don't you just throw that out? I was like, it's just chocolate.
It's just chocolate. I've cut them up because I took some home and I sent you a picture, and they kind of, because they were in the car, and I think it was because I didn't use rice flour, I used cornstarch. They didn't, like, their consistency was really mushy. So if they weren't cold, they would kind of melt.
Yeah.
And the way they melted looked a lot like the splattered graboid at the end of the first Tremors. So that was great.
Should have had a little scene. Just put them down, make a little diorama.
But those were, I think, I did post some pictures on Twitter. I'll post that picture on Twitter as well of the exploded mochi graboids. But I think that I'm confident in saying that was the first time anybody's ever made graboid mochi. Might be the last.
Never know.
Never know.
I'm kind of curious to go back and try that again sometime. A different color.
Yeah, definitely not dark brown, like a peanut butter or like an almond maybe. Ooh, almond sounds good. Anyway. So this time, I kind of went through the Shawshank Redemption. It was like, well, what foods do they have in the Shawshank Redemption? The one that kind of stuck out to me was when they, spoilers for the Shawshank Redemption. We're going to talk all about it.
It's been around. It's on cable like 3 times a week. So
right. So
if you haven't seen it at this point, then just go turn on cable.
When Andy's, I think it's his first meal that he's eating there, he pulls a grub out of the gruel. Yeah. I was like, the gruel. We're going to make something that kind of looks like that.
That Brooks takes it for his bird.
Brooks takes it for his bird. You think he's going to eat it, and he gives it to his bird.
Yeah.
So I looked around for different things that kind of physically resembled the gruel, and I came across this rice pudding called Tamago Okayu. So I'm like, let's start there.
So Tamago is egg.
Okay, yeah. So egg rice pudding.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. Now, we are still trying to do like the South meets East. I think I finally said that right. I would always say South meets West or West meets East. It's South meets East is what we're doing.
Yeah. We're in the South.
Yeah, and the food's from the East. So how to countrify this? That's what add bacon, absolutely. Yeah. And I made like a maple sesame syrup to go with it.
Yeah.
And the picture will be here. I was very happy with it.
Really, when you say like rice porridge, it really is like a rice pudding, sort of like a grandma or multiple church ladies around this area would make, where it's got that just really creamy, smooth texture. And
it did kind of remind me of like a thick grits.
Yeah. Not as grainy or chewy as grits. But yeah, it was good by itself. And then when you throw a little bacon on there and the what'd you say it was, like sesame oil?
Maple sesame syrup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I actually use I don't buy store syrup. When I want syrup, I make syrup. I have molasses.
Oh. Okay.
So I actually use molasses and sesame oil and a little bit of garlic.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
That was a creation. I was like, let's try this.
I think we were pining over the fact that the serving size
The
didn't turn out as
serving
big as we
size.
thought it was. And I was like, that probably actually was a legitimate serving of what
Yeah.
we should eat. But
Yeah, it was not an American serving. It wasn't a Southern serving.
we really wanted more.
Yeah.
I was like, I could have eaten 3 times that much, but I also did not need to eat 3 times that much. So,
And what I usually do is I look up a recipe and I kind of follow that recipe and then change it to fit. And so like the OKU that I looked up, that's what I followed. So that was why I got that quantity. I said it makes 2 servings. I was like, hey, that works. 2 servings is great. It was not. It was like 1.5 maybe.
I think that's one thing you do see online if you go look up foods is people aren't putting recipes on there to feed like a family of 6 anymore. No. It's like
2 people,
2 little bougie people in an apartment in a city somewhere, so they can have a little social media thing and it's like, look what we made.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I did. What we did.
That's well, yeah, but if it was a good Southern recipe, it would have been a big mixing bowl this big, and it would have fed a family.
This is one of the first, probably the first one I made that I think legitimately this could be a recipe. So I think I will make that again.
Maybe a spinoff at some point for us. Maybe Appalachian did some cooking show.
There you go. All right. Well, our media main course is going to be Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
When did you first see this? Do you remember?
No, I think.
Was it like back when it came out?
It was close to that, but not in the theater. Okay. So this came out in '94. I was in college from '93 to '97. Didn't do a lot of theatrical releases of anything then because, again, just 1, you're broke, and 2, did not have a lot of time. But I think either it was on a movie channel and I saw it that way, or maybe rented it or something. I don't remember which one. So I probably didn't see it until it came out in '94, probably not until like '95. Not super long after, because word of mouth was kind of going pretty hard on it after it was released onto VHS and stuff. And I think multiple people were like, oh man, you got to see that movie. And luckily back then the only way it would get spoiled would be if somebody just talked too much.
Right.
There wasn't so much other stuff. So I had never read the story, never didn't have any idea what it was about. It just, when you said Stephen King to me back then, I'm thinking Cujo and The Shining. So I was like,
The Shining,
this is
a
It prison.
And The Stand.
Yeah, even at that point, it was just the It had been a TV series. Mm-hmm. That was an amazing first half and an awful second half.
So did you know it was a story by Stephen King before you saw it?
Just that I'd been told that it was based off of like a short story of his. My dad read relentlessly anything he could get his hands on, but he always had Stephen King stuff. We get copies of it, usually hard copies of his books when they came out. And I think he told me that somehow or another mentioned the movie. He said it was one of they call it an anthology, the one that has like the 4 short stories. Mm-hmm. It was in one of his books that was a collection of short stories. Yeah,
I'll talk about that after we talk about the movie. I have a little more information about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was different seasons was the collection.
Yes. Yeah, I've got that.
I've got that too. Yep. I saw it. It was, I think, like '99.
Oh,
worked. Yeah, it was a little while after.
Definitely a ways after.
I was working at an electronics store, anticipating the release of the PlayStation 2 console, and I knew it was going to have DVD player capability. Yeah. So I started collecting DVDs because, well, one, I worked at an electronics store. I saw them all the time, but I would get a good deal on them. And Shawshank Redemption was one of the DVDs I got. The first one I got was The Matrix, and then it was literally, hey, this looks cool. Hey, this looks cool. Yeah. And by the time I actually watched it, I had no idea it was related in any way to Stephen King.
Okay.
But I fell in love with this film.
Yeah.
To this day, I think it's one of the best films ever made. Extremely high bar. I hate top 10 lists because ask me on a different day and I'll give you a different top 10.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would have a hard time not putting this in like a top 10 list of greatest films of all time.
I think I kind of keep mine at a top 20.
Give you a little room.
I say these are definitely a top 20 because I'm the same way. Cutting it down to 20 would probably be painful, but I know that it's good enough that it would be in a race, probably in a top 10 for me as well. Just you just have to make sure that you're not forgetting 15 other movies before you can commit to that, I guess.
I did like a top 50 video games, my personal top 50 video games, and I went through and I was like, well, let me do like the top 10 of each genre. And I went through and I kind of cut and decided and everything. And after because it was like in a discussion group, after I said, well, here's my top 50, I was like, man, I forgot about this game. Oh, and this game. So it'd be the same with movies.
Yeah.
If I had to do a top 20 list, I'd get my top 20 list and well, that's good. And then I'd think about for the next 2 days, oh, I didn't put this on there. I didn't put this on there.
You have to do a NCAA basketball tournament bracket of things and
bracket.
Just move them.
Yeah.
And you finally get to a point where you're like, ugh, what do you do here? We did that
in a bracket. I like that idea.
We did that in high
keep
school.
That in mind.
We did that in high school with presidents, and somehow or another we got into a kick of trying to sort of thwart expectations, and James K. Polk won.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I remember our teacher was not happy because it was something his idea, and it was like, well, he did actually accomplish everything he campaigned on. He was like the only 100% president ever. It was only like 3 things, but he was efficient. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into. We're going to talk about. We'll talk about the movie.
Probably one thing just in talking about the movie itself before we get into the plot of it. Everybody wants to say it's a Stephen King movie.
Right.
It's a Frank Darabont movie. He's the director of it, and he took the short story and wrote the script.
Okay.
And I think Frank Darabont I don't know how he gets snubbed, but he doesn't get the credit that he should get. I've always called him Stephen King's fixer, because he did The Mist, which I think The Mist as a story was like just kind of ambiguous. The Mist movie is ridiculous. I love that movie.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen? Oh my
I've never seen The Mist.
Don't want to spoil that for you because you need to watch that through. He directed The Green Mile. I think he wrote the screenplay for it as well. He did The Majestic. He did season 1 of The Walking Dead. I think when we talked about that, he was set to pretty much run The Walking Dead, and he was fired because they needed to reduce their budget by something like, I think I was reading it was like 25%. His vision for it was too big, and they were like, we need to cut this, and he was like, bye. We're not doing that.
Respect. That's pretty good. I like hearing when people do that. They stand by their decisions.
I've never seen anybody else listed this way. I think on Wikipedia or somewhere where I was looking at him, he is listed as a script doctor. Not like as a director. He's a script doctor for the movie Eraser, for Saving Private Ryan, Godzilla 2014. He actually wrote a screenplay for Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Spielberg thought it was amazing, and Lucas rejected it and didn't use any of it.
Really?
Yes. So like he's like this like behind the scenes guy that if you go through and you think about all these things I just listed, they're all just amazing put together stories, and many of them are filling in a lot of holes in Stephen King thing. I'd love to see Frank Darabont get the Dark Tower series.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
And do that. Because Stephen King didn't even know how to finish his own series on that one. But he has done fixing work in so many different movies on top of the things he's directed. And that series that he did of doing this, The Green Mile, was right after this. I forget where The Mist falls in that strand too, but it was pretty close to, I think it was after The Green Mile, but it wasn't super far after, to where he was kind of taking Stephen King properties and turning them into movies. It's fine to call The Shawshank Redemption a Stephen King movie, but it really is. It's based off of a 128-page Stephen King story that he expanded into the script.
We were talking about The Fly 2 last week.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped writing stuff down as you go through his list, because I mean, you see like The Blob, one of the Nightmare of Elm Street movies. I mean, it was just
the best one. Dream Warriors. Yeah.
It's just that he's always been there, but it's like for some reason, maybe it's just that he likes doing it. And he's not a selfish dude that needs the glory. I don't know anything about him. He might be a jerk, but it just seems like he's always there, trying to be there to sort of help people work out storylines and stuff like that. And some of your favorite movies that you'll tie into, you'll be like, oh, Frank Darabont was involved in that. And I'm like, and that's something. If you go through and watch the first season of The Walking Dead and then kind of compare it to the rest, if you've watched the whole series through, go back and watch that first season again, and then just pick a random season, watch some episodes of it, and you'll be like, wow, those are different. And it really is. I think his influence is that strong. I mean,
it looks like he's involved in Stranger Things 5.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, okay. I wasn't actually, that was one of the things I was going to talk about in the next episode, but that wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he's involved in Stranger Things 5, looking at his,
I don't want to say
CV there, I'm interested.
It's speculation, because I don't go into the ins and outs of Hollywood and take time to try to research that stuff. But it seems like maybe he's a known entity in Hollywood that maybe if I'm stuck, I call Frank, kind of thing, or I need this to be better, so let's call Frank, or something like that. And I'm blown away by the whole thing I read about the Crystal Skull, that was like, he wrote a different story. He's like, what was that story? It's like Spielberg loved it, and Lucas was like, nah. And I'd love to like just get into reading that and see what happened there. I'm sure it's probably a long story to get into, but just the fact that there was an alternate version of that movie that just got completely thrown to the wood chipper was like, wow, okay. It's like, maybe you should have not done that. But
it happens a lot. You hear about a movie that kind of goes through a lot of script revisions. You really want to know, well, what was that original?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, this was based off the 128 page. It's Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1982 book, different seasons that Darabont got the rights to in 87. This movie wasn't made until it was released in 94. So they were filming, I guess, probably through 92 and 93.
That's not anymore. That doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to be a very long development hell process.
Yeah.
It's 5 years or so.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That's time to kind of work out your details and probably bounce some ideas off people and all that stuff. I don't know if you want to talk. I'll mention this in the book. We can come back to it later. You said it was part of different seasons. That was a pretty interesting book. It had Rita Hayworth, it had At People, it had The Body, which is the story for Stand By Me, and then the breathing method. And it's the only one of those stories that didn't get made into a major film. And the breathing method, have you read about that?
No. I only read, of the short stories, I only read Shawshank Redemption.
I don't think it'd be an interesting adaptation into something, probably more like a creep show episode, like a shorter thing, where I think it's like a doctor or something, I can't remember the exact details, has a mistress that he gets pregnant, and I think goes through the whole story of she wants to have the baby, he doesn't want her to have the baby, all this stuff. He teaches her like some kind of like unique breathing thing for like Lamaze and for child delivery. And she gets as a car wreck or something, that she gets decapitated on the way.
Spoilers.
On the way to deliver the baby.
Okay.
And is able to, because of the breathing method, stays alive and delivers the baby, and actually like talks to him, and then
without a head.
Yeah, I mean, like the head is talking to him, and somehow another.
Oh, the decapitated head is.
Yeah. And delivers this baby that should have been killed, and then killed in the accident. And then
that's a really weird, and considering Stand By Me, At Pupils, that's a really big departure.
Yeah, it's like a side thought that he had that he wrote into a story. I think there's a lot of Stephen King things like that, and it's kind of in line with those though, because it's not so much like a horror thing. I think the rest of the story is that he raises this child, and the child becomes like a super intelligent guy. I can't remember what the whole thing is. If he becomes a doctor or writer or something famous.
Still, a lot of Stephen King's characters become writers.
It might be.
I wonder why.
I don't remember the details on that, but it just I guess that was too much of a departure to try to make into a movie, but everything else out of that one little book became very successful movies.
All right. Well, yeah, I had maybe fast forward because I had this slated as the last thing we're going to talk about.
Well, we can come back to it if
No, we're talking about it. Let's see let's see. It's not adapted. I thought I wrote the dates. It was like 2016 or something. Like they've been trying to make the breathing method of film for a few years now.
Oh, okay.
But it's been stuck in development hell.
Huh. I just figured that was just such a far out there story that how would you what would be that movie?
It's in let's see. Scott Derrickson and Scott Teams were previously attached. It's as of 2024. It remains unproduced.
Okay.
But I mean, we could yet see it. The film adaptation was first announced in 2012, not 2016.
Okay.
Faced numerous setbacks.
It's kind of a concise story. I don't know how.
That might be. I mean, it might be why.
How you get to an hour and 45 minutes out of that, but maybe that's you develop the drama about the pregnancy and all that stuff.
Yes, it's some commentary. It's saying that people are saying it would need significant padding.
I think Thinner was kind of like that, where Thinner was not a narrow idea, but not a super long idea that you had to add. You had to kind of stretch that into a movie.
I remember that being a part of the criticism of Thinner at the time.
It was a good short story.
Yeah,
it'd be better to come back and.
Well, you got there's a weird balance you need to get between if you're developing novels into film, because a lot of times if you develop a novel, there's not enough time in the film to actually have all of the stuff that's in the novel.
Cut so much important stuff.
So developing a short story into a film actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
Novels make better series.
Yes.
That's after Game of Thrones. I remember being pretty adamant about thinking that Dune should have been like a follow up to Game of Thrones for HBO, because to actually tell the story, you really should have a series, and they accomplished that with 2-3 hour long films. So
yeah.
But they do have Dune. It's called Sisterhood. No, it's not called Sisterhood of Dune. They do have the Dune series on HBO now, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I kind of got my wish. But again, like Thinner.
We actually kind of noted this in reverse order that I was talking about the origins of it, but you were kind of coming back to it at the end.
Oh yeah. But I do have a couple other things to talk about, like differences between the novella and. Have you read the novella?
It's been a while,
years ago, but I noted some differences, and there was one interesting thing I'll talk about later, where it was like something I didn't remember correctly from the novella that has bothered me for years, but apparently it didn't really need to bother me. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Let's go back to the film.
Well, if you want to talk about, I've got some box office stuff. If you want to throw that in real quick.
Absolutely.
16 million box office.
That's how much it made. It seems like the 90s is littered with a bunch of like one of the greatest films of all time didn't do well at the box office.
I think it was a $23 million budget.
Yeah, were people not going to the films into theaters in the 90s?
It came out against Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that's why.
And it was a prison movie, and people are like, I don't like prison movies, because prison movies have been a genre for a long time. Right. And it was like, here's another prison movie. But it got a re-release because of word of mouth stuff after its initial release, and that re-release with international got it to like 73 million.
Okay.
So it got a second wind and recovered, and very much like Tremors, VHS really bailed it out.
Yeah.
I think it was the top rental of 1995. I remember Tremors was 1994. I looked, they didn't have numbers for 94 because it was VHS rentals were so new then. They weren't tracking it. This was the first year they actually tracked it, and this was the top one. I think they originally sent out 320,000 VHS tapes to, I guess, stores that had ordered them and stuff like that. So, and then that was the initial thing. So I guess even after that, where you had, man, I can't keep this on the shelf. I need five more copies. I don't think those numbers even get into that. So, still couldn't really find a dollar figure that attaches to that, but also know from talking to a local guy that used to run a little thing here called Video Vision, that when they were buying movies from the companies as a rental place, they were having to pay like $150 for a movie.
Yeah.
And then they were getting an artificially high, retail price from distribution companies. But again, they would cover that in, a month of rentals, get it back, and then start making profit on it if it was a popular rental. So I guess if you kind of throw those numbers around, I can't do that math in my head, but over 300,000 videos that were selling at $150 a piece, that's a pretty good chunk of change. And then you get, later purchases again trying to do that, and then that we factor in the people that go out and buy the VHS tape when it goes for sale. So I mean, that's overall it was very successful, but it had that kind of stumbling start. And
yeah, like I was saying, that seems to be the story of a lot of films from that era.
Yeah, and it's sometimes that's just what you're up against. Sometimes you get a movie that's going to be a good movie, and you throw it out there, and there's two big blockbusters or something, and you're like,
you look at a random summer month in the '90s, and they'll have more fantastic films in one month than we get a whole year now.
Oh,
so, yeah. I could definitely see the competition being an issue.
Yeah, I don't know how Pulp Fiction did as a box office thing. It was a kind of word of mouth thing too.
I mean, I remember it being real popular.
But then, Forrest Gump was just a thing that, you could turn on like a news show or a morning news thing and not have somebody talking about something with Forrest Gump for like 2 or 3 weeks. So, I mean, it was, and that's just those 3 movies. There were probably 10 other movies in the theaters at the time.
Worldwide, 213.9, so 214 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they did all right.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's, Pulp Fiction was kind of a genre-changing thing. Mm-hmm. It was a cultural phenomenon kind of movie.
According to Screen Rant, Tom Hanks and Kevin Costner were offered the role of Andy Dufresne.
Yeah.
Both of them passed.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks because of Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner, Waterworld? Is that why he didn't?
It might be.
It kind of makes me think about how Will Smith was offered Neo in The Matrix, but didn't take it because of Wild Wild West.
Which
I liked.
Dances with Wolves was before that. So.
It might have been.
But Kevin Costner was rolling off a bunch of movies right after Dances with Wolves, like The Postman and Waterworld, and I can't even think what else. But I'm sure he was in a movie every summer. JFK was probably somewhere in that era. I think JFK came out after that. But
let's see. He was committed to the production of Waterworld.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that the Tim Robbins is the perfect Andy Dufresne. So I'm happy with that.
It's funny how many people, even like my kids, they'll see Tim Robbins in a movie. And I'm like,
hey, it's Andy Dufresne.
That's exactly this. That's Andy Dufresne. That's just how he is known. And I had some stuff there about him, just about how, I mean, he really was just in these kind of secondary roles, and like Eric the Viking, almost everything he did was like comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't really a very good comedic actor.
Jacob's Ladder, I think, was one of his first notable roles.
Yeah. But like Cadillac Man and like Eric the Viking and stuff like that, where he was in, this was like this changed his path. Or if you pull him up and look at his whole line of movies, watch what he did before this, and then look at his roles after this movie, it made him.
Before we get into the actors, I do want to make a comment about Frank Darabont.
Oh yeah.
I do think it was, by you saying the Shawshank Redemption was his vision, that is evident in the cinematography and the direction.
Oh.
Some of the other films we're talking about, like the Majestic, he definitely has a particular eye, and I guess he has a particular style for writing too. That, like you said, it was a script fixer.
He is one of those guys too that, when we've talked about it in some other stuff, where you get like a filmmaker that gets a group of people that he likes and can trust.
Mm-hmm.
He knows, I can call this guy to be this role, and I don't have to direct this guy to death because I already know what he can do. if you go through The Mist and The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption and even The Walking Dead, same actors are in and out of all of those series.
Interesting how Tom Hanks was up for Andy Dufresne's role and he ended up playing in The Green Mile.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I bet there's a, like, hey, you could do that. Let me offer you this.
Darabont, I think, actually, we'll get to that more. We're going to talk about The Green Mile later, but I think Darabont actually said, I'm picturing Tom Hanks. And like Stephen King was like, well, that's exactly who I was thinking for Paul in The Green Mile. So when they were writing the story and casting it, they already it's like the Roland and the Gunslinger and the Dark Tower stuff. That's all everything was based on Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up watching Clint Eastwood through the westerns, all the good, the bad, the ugly, and those stuff before and after that. And as he wrote that, he wrote imagining Clint Eastwood in this role all the way through. And I think that's probably something I would be doing if I was writing. I can't write this character if I'm not either picturing a certain actor in it or I already have some kind of image of this dude in my head. You can't write a good role if you haven't kind of fleshed out the character. And I guess when you're already writing big novels that have already been made to movies, it probably is natural to be like, man, I wonder who would play this guy.
Yeah.
And then you're just like,
oh yeah, I'm sure all the writers do it.
And then as you write, you're like, well, if Tom Hanks is my dude, then I'm gonna write this the way that Tom Hanks would say it. And
all right, let's get into the actual film itself. We're gonna go relatively briefly, hopefully, go over the plot.
Can I read you mine real quick, then we'll go back and fill it in?
Yeah, sure.
I wrote this down just so I can remember the order of how everything goes. Yeah. Here's my plot summary for the Shawshank Redemption. Hammer, rape, roof, library, Brooks, library, $, record, confinement, launders money, Tommy, solitary, package, Mexico, rope, suicidal, escape, ledger, goes to Bakes, 370K, red gets out.
Okay. Pretty much done. A little slower. The movie opens up and Andy Dufresne is in a court case because his wife has been murdered and he is blamed for it. He is sentenced to 2 life sentences, one for the wife and one for the lover.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of different quotes that I've pulled out, but I don't remember the exact quote in the courtroom there, but I remember him saying, "You strike me as a particularly icy man." And I always really liked that quote.
Right.
And definitely loved Tim Robbins' portrayal of Andy in the courtroom there. The way he was just like stone-faced the whole time, like in shock almost.
Yeah.
When he gets to Shawshank, he's called a tall drink of water. Oh. I think that, I don't know, that was like the first time I had ever really heard that phrase.
I've heard that before from the generation of my granddad's type of people, where you're referring to a lady that way.
Oh, okay.
And I think.
Oh, okay. I that brings a different color to it.
Yeah, that was why, when they said that, I was like, you're thinking prison movies, like, I hope this doesn't go where it goes, and it goes there pretty quick.
It goes there pretty quick
with the sisters, and I can't remember the lead sister.
Boggs.
Yeah.
There is the quote. One of the things that the warden said when they got in there, I absolutely love part of this quote. He says, "I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both." This is the part I love. "Put your trust in the Lord, your ass belongs to me."
Yep.
Welcome to Shawshank. That is a wonderful way to set up what you're about to see.
Yeah.
Because that's a really great line.
Too bad he doesn't adhere to his instructions, but he takes a little more satanic twist on.
Morgan Freeman is Red. He is pretty much the narrator of the story.
Yeah.
And we kind of see what happens to Andy through his eyes. He's the audience pathway.
Did Morgan Freeman ever do the kind of narrating thing, or did this create the narrating thing for Morgan Freeman?
I think, again, I was kind of young when I saw, a little younger when I saw this, so I don't know if Morgan Freeman was really popular before the Shawshank
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption.
Like Driving Miss Daisy and
Yeah.
few movies. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I feel like this established him kind of same in the popular culture.
Like if I'm watching something happen at a show and I'm just narrating in my mind, I'm
You hear
narrating it.
Morgan
And
Freeman.
I'm doing it in Morgan Freeman's voice.
It's a fantastic narration.
Yeah, he is the second iteration of James Earl Jones.
Yeah,
just the voice that you could have do anything. He could read to you.
And this is your rock hammer. He gets in the very beginning. He gets a rock hammer and a large poster.
I hear you're a guy that can get things.
That's right.
Going to red.
One thing I really like, and at this point we're assuming everybody knows exactly what happens in the movie. I really enjoy the fact that these are like the two things in the very beginning: rock hammer, poster, and that's just like that's the plot. That's what happens. That's what they use.
Yeah.
I think it really good. I've told you about Chekhov's gun. The idea if you put a gun over the mantle in a play, that gun better come into the play at some point.
Yeah.
They set it up and they left it alone. They let you forget it, and then it pays off in the end. Great setup and payoff.
And they subvert you too with he likes to make chess.
He's a rock hound. Yeah.
That he likes to. That's the beautiful thing with this whole genius of the character Anthony Dufresne is that he's, from the moment he's there, he's working on how to get out.
Yeah.
But he knows to sell it as, I just need something to occupy my time. I like chess. I like rocks. So you don't mislead somebody effectively if you don't have a little bit of a story kind of worked out in your head already.
Yeah. Pause. And to get clues. It only got to 24%, so I think that's pretty good. If we get 4%, almost 40 minutes, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so after that, we get right into pretty much Andy's routine.
Yeah.
He goes to the laundry.
Yeah.
Works the laundry, and he meets the sisters. Boggs being the lead sister.
Yeah.
And I forget exactly what the quote was, but Red said if that had gone on like that, he doesn't know if Andy would have made it.
Yeah.
It was a rough few years for him. There's a quote by Boggs that struck me at the time when I first saw it, and it's always, every time I watch it, it's such a visceral line. You'll swallow what I give you to swallow. That is a horrible line.
Yeah.
But it definitely shows you what the relationship between Boggs and the sisters and Andy was.
And just how much humanity is shed when you go to prison, where people will do things there that are just to get by while they're there that, would not exist outside of there. But it's, I guess, just such a awful place to be, especially if you, what was the time frame on this? 50s, 40s, 30s? Was it Depression era? I kind of forget.
I think it was the 50s. Let's see, what Shawshank Redemption when take place.
I always try to go back and think of the cars they were driving and what
40s.
Okay, 40s.
Starts in the 40s, goes to the 60s.
I didn't think we were to like the Bel Air Chevy era yet.
Right.
I think they actually do progress things in the movie where you see some outside stuff, just directional things for Frank Darabont to show you that he's been here for this long. And I think his hair gets some gray in it as it goes to show how long this has been.
I think Tommy was also one of those things.
Yeah, he was like an Elvis.
Like a greaser.
Yeah.
And that didn't exist when he first went in.
Yeah.
And then pretty much right after that was when Red got him and his friends to the roof.
Yeah.
They tarred up the roof.
Yeah.
And this was I'm going to stop. I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to try not to say it anymore. Great scene. Because that's what I feel like this movie is made up of a bunch of great scenes.
Yeah.
And this is when Hadley was complaining that he got an inheritance and he got to pay taxes. And Andy approaches him and is like, "Hey, do you trust your wife?" And he almost throws him off the roof. And he's like, "Hey, if you trust your wife, you can keep the whole amount." And because of a tax-free gift. And so he makes a friend in Hadley. Hadley gets some beers as payment for filling out all the tax documents for him, and make some friends with the guys. It's wonderful. And because of that, because he makes friends with Hadley,
He gets protection.
and Hadley beats the ever-loving crap out of Boggs, and Boggs has to go to like a minimal security prison because
It just disables him.
it completely disables him. That was a shot and chaser. That was a great shot and chaser in the film. And I think it did a really good job of, one thing a lot of films are afraid to do is to put their main character in bad situations.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes writers kind of fall in love with their characters and they don't want them to see them hurt.
Yeah.
So like the problems they give him are like, that's a little problem. Oh, you overcame it. But that was a life or death situation. That could have destroyed Andy, but they took care of it narratively.
They'll throw the quote in this early that closes the movie, doesn't close the movie, but Andy that crawls through a river.
Cross their liver shit and comes out clean on the other side.
That his whole time there it wasn't just the escape part that was the river. It was his whole time there was just a 20 or 30-year river of poop.
And because he became like almost a pet to the guards because he was doing their taxes and was doing the warden's taxes and started doing taxes for other guards from other prisons. He started working in the library with Boggs. Brooks.
They basically had to move into the library, so he had a place where he could do all of this like tax work. Yeah. It was just
when they first took him there, they were like, he was like, "Why are you here?" I was like, "I don't know." Brooks was like, "I've been doing this for 30 years by myself. I don't need an assistant."
It was like a line of guards that are all there with like their paperwork.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
So they make you pay for your holster and your hat. You see, that's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And that leads us to I think universally people would agree that it's the saddest part of the film, Brooks.
Yeah.
We see Brooks after Andy gets established. Brooks gets paroled, and Brooks has been there like
Brooks is a very old
lifer.
guy, probably 70s, maybe early 80s.
Now, even though he's a minor character, I really think the actor who played Brooks, what's his name?
James Whitmore.
James Whitmore?
The black and white picture.
This guy, James Whitmore. I think he is the best performance of the film. You really, there's like a little montage. In that montage, you really feel what Brooks is feeling.
Yeah.
He did a really good job.
You think about somebody that's in that spot that's been there so long. He's a past retirement age.
What do they call it? Institutionalized?
Where anything that would tie you to a normal life has passed you by. No wife, no kids, or if you had them, they're gone. Probably even his age, any friends that he had are probably dead or somewhere else. So you are thrown back out into public by yourself, and you get a version of a loon that is one that most people don't understand.
Didn't you say something like, "I saw an automobile once. Now they're everywhere."
Yeah.
Talk about the passage of time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like
I can comprehend it, but no, I can't even pretend to understand it. It's
kind of like jumping into the other movie, but I think it's relevant that John Coffey in The Green Mile, one of his wishes was to see a film because I think that's maybe 30s era. This is 40s, but still, there's no internet, there's no TV. You don't get to see if you see news, it's like a newsreel in a movie theater. It's not let's go turn on the evening news.
Right.
So what you're missing while you're institutionalized at a time like this, especially, it's kind of hard to comprehend that you miss any kind of social trend or changes in politics or anything. You come back out. It's like, what planet am I on?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Especially during that era when technology was advancing so quickly.
Yeah. You go in, there's no such thing as TV. You come out and they're everywhere. There's national broadcasts. There's, a car was something that would be something that you heard about, and you can't cross the road with almost getting run over. I think then he almost get buzzed by a car or something in that.
At one point.
So that's definitely, and again, that's the kind of thing too. That's just, I kind of attribute that to Darabont. Just that, didn't you say that in one of our last podcasts that you show it, don't say it, or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you can fill in so much stuff if you shoot it correctly and think out your shots before you do it and explain things without having to explain it to us like we're all idiots.
And that kind of does go into the end of Brooks' story. It does show you that he killed himself. But like if you were just listening, you wouldn't know that because it ends with him saying, "I don't like it here. I'm tired of being afraid all the time. I've decided not to stay." And they almost set it up to like he's running away.
He's an old man that's like looking at like a gun in a pawn shop, just thinking like, can I just go commit a crime so they'll put me back?
Yeah.
And that's a level of desperation that's again probably hard to really understand.
And his actual suicide scene was very very impactful. I think it was like a mid movie like jump like a reveal because I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
go back to the days.
Maybe I was just naive at the time, but that was the last thing I was expecting that Brooke was doing. I thought he was just like either gonna, try to go back to jail, or
I thought he was just gonna get a gun and maybe just go into like a little store and rob somebody and just
rob the store he was working at.
Yeah,
like he said he thought about doing. But that got me. That really got me when I was watching it the first time.
That would have been the spot, in the olden days where you had an intermission in movies. That would have been like probably your cutting point for the movie and taking it to intermission. I can't imagine everybody having to get up and go stretch your legs and go get a popcorn after that because they'd all just be like, "Wow,
whoa." that would have been a good intermission point.
But a very somber intermission.
And then that goes pretty much right into.
Well, yeah, I guess part of that little sub story is that because he's there in the library, he starts writing. Mm-hmm. Is it like the state
legislative board,
or whatever, for more money
for their library?
And it's not just like one. He said, "I'm gonna write him once a week," and then like they gave him a little bit of money. So once he gets a little bit of money, I think he starts writing them several times a week or something, and I think it's not too long after that they send him a decent chunk of money. I think that happens before.
First, they just send him some books. They send him some like secondhand books, some records, and they're like, "We hope this settles the matter." Yeah, and he's like, "Well, from now on, I'm going to write him twice a week."
Yeah, and then he gets the bigger chunk of money, and he gets the record that kind of leads to the next kind of iconic scene.
I think that was the first. The record, I think, was the first delivery from them.
Yeah, I lose. It's been a little bit of time since I've actually sat down and watched this again.
And once he starts getting more money, that's when they open up the Brooks Hadley Memorial Library.
Yeah, I remember like he just gets a shipment in, and that's when the record comes.
Right.
That's when
that was the Marriage of Figaro is what the song was that he played.
And he locks himself in the warden's office and puts it on and plays it
over the PA,
and everybody just stops what they're doing and all stands there, and you get your Morgan Freeman narration that they all get to feel like free men for
just a moment.
For a moment,
it's great.
If you see any kind of commercial or anything advertising movies and stuff like that, you almost see that scene at some point where they're all standing in the yard, just stopping and looking at the speaker. It's very, very iconic, just visually in every way of the definition of iconic scenes. That's a classic scene. And of course, he gets solitary confinement because
of that. In the hole. Yep.
But they also,
and this was like the pivoting point. It seems because before this, Hadley was kind of like a tension, a friend with tension. Yeah. Like they were on good terms, they were friendly, but there was still that power dynamic that they had there. But like I feel like Hadley felt like Andy took advantage of a situation of that, which he did. He absolutely did take advantage of the situation. Yeah. And after this, their uneasy friendship fell apart. I don't even know if friendship is right. Alliance. Yeah, that's a better word. Their uneasy alliance fell apart.
But they couldn't. What's the warden's name? I know the actor's name is Bob Gunton, but
Norton.
No, sorry,
Warden Norton.
Warden Norton. He knows he can't punish him, but so hard because he needs him. At this point, he's laundering money for them. Because I again forget exactly where it lands in this. The warden is starting to use the prison labor to undercut all these state contracts and stuff like that, and making just a crap ton of money because his profit margins are just so different than anybody else that can do like paving work and highway work and stuff like that. But then he's having to launder that money, so he's using Andy to do that.
And we learned that Andy's doing that through a conversation with him and Red about how he created this character, Randall Stevens.
Yeah.
And he's laundering the money through him. All the money points to Randall Stevens, who doesn't exist.
Yeah. And comes a daily thing that you come in from the library and go to the safe and put the money in the safe for the warden. And
there's one after he gets out of the hole and he's talking to all the guys at the table, at the chow table, and he talks about having music as a company down there. And they're like, they let you lug that thing down there? He's like, no, it's up here. I keep it with me.
Yeah.
And he talks about hope. And I liked what Red said. He said, let me tell you something about hope. Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
Yeah.
And I really like how they kept showing us the different perspectives of prison, like how it can beat you down, but how you can remain hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Stephen King / Frank Darabont. I think both of them probably do deserve credit in the creation of this film. I think both of them have had a really good message.
Yeah, and it's pretty much in that time when Tommy shows up.
Yeah. Yep. Tommy shows up. It's because they have the nice library.
And he teaches. Tommy's sort of like a little, seemed like a kid that was probably abused or abandoned kind of growing up. He doesn't know how to read, right?
Yeah, he's illiterate.
So he kind of takes him under his wing, teaches him to.
Red calls him his project.
Yeah. He's going to get him his GED equivalent, right? Yeah. So he starts helping him kind of learn to do all that.
This was the first time in the film where I felt like they were really showing the passage of time. They gave Andy some glasses, gave him a little bit of gray.
Yeah.
And because he kind of shows Tommy sympathy and helps him, and almost by force, it seems like at some point he makes sure he gets his GED equivalent, because he throws his test away, but he still sends it in.
Yeah.
And he passed.
Finds out that he passed.
He tells Andy, and it wasn't really a quid pro quo. Didn't not tell Andy before, through conversations with like Red and the other guys. Tommy realizes that he knows who actually killed Andy's wife, and we didn't know this as the audience.
Yeah.
It was kind of left open. It was like, well, maybe he did kill his wife. You don't know.
Yeah.
When he's talking about when Red introduces him earlier in the film, you get the idea that the reason they call him Red is he was the only person caught red-handed.
Right.
He's like the only person that would admit. And lawyer screwed me. That was one of the quotes at one point that Andy repeats back to someone else. Don't you know anything? Lawyer screwed me.
Yeah.
And the guy's name was Elmo Blatch. Perfect name. I love that name. The guy who actually killed his wife, Andy's wife, and her lover. He was bragging to Tommy in a previous stint. Tommy had done it in a different prison.
Just a creepy dude.
Just a creepy dude.
Just nasty teeth, and he's just like, yeah, and I killed him, and he's laughing.
He was laughing about killing this preppy woman and her tennis coach, I think it was.
Yeah.
And everything being blamed on a hotshot banker, and that's when Tommy realizes, hey, this Andy could get out.
Yeah. And
that conversation with Andy and the warden, there's a quote in there that I absolutely love. How can you be so obtuse? Is it deliberate?
Yeah.
I love how biting that is, but it's like proper.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. That sends the warden off.
Yeah. And it's a breaking point for Andy too, because it's just like, I've done all this work for you. Here's my chance to get out. And I think he even says to him, he's like, I would never tell. I'm not going to tell on all the legal stuff you're doing. And that
I would be culpable as well.
that sends the warden into a second level of just like, no, you didn't. So the response to that is, of course, put him in the solitary, and he leaves him there for, I don't know what they say, a long time. Like,
but while he's in solitary, Hadley, they have Tommy killed.
Yeah.
They pull Tommy out.
If the sending him to solitary didn't break him, then that definitely did.
That's what I was going to ask, is, do you think narratively, if Tommy didn't die, would Andy still have escaped? I don't think he would have.
Yeah, I think he would have probably just wrote it out, and
because they did say, I don't know if they outright said this. I did get the feeling at some point that he had finished the tunnel a long time before he actually escaped. Like he could have left for a while, but he didn't.
The way that his marriage ended and him getting locked up kind of removes the whole chance of him ever having a chance to be a father. And this kid, obviously, at the time he becomes like his, sort of father and son relationship. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you put so much time into caring for this dude that you wouldn't want to. You'd probably feel at some point if you're leaving prison, what are you leaving to? Then you'd be abandoning him and other people too. So
when you consider a lot of the rhetoric that came from Andy, like the stuff about hope and stuff like that, it's interesting considering that he didn't really seem to have hope outside of prison. Like you were saying, there was nothing out there for him.
Yeah.
He could have escaped earlier, but he didn't. It's like he found hope in the other prisoners, in what he could do for other people in prison.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because again, it's kind of the attraction to the character of Andy Dufresne is that he from moment one was already working this out. How am I going to get out? Had a plan. And I think he discovered that kind of skipped that part, that was he might scratching his name on the wall or
they
something.
Show that at the very end. Yeah, he's just like gonna do some graffiti on the wall, like his name or something.
And he finds out that the walls are like
brittle,
and because he's a rock hound, he knows like, wow, this is something I could dig out of. And so he works it out from the start. But again, I think it's staying there at this point because he's an important figure there, probably a more meaningful figure there than he was when he was a banker.
Yeah, he kind of got institutionalized at some point.
More meaningful there than than he was as a husband, since she was messing around with the tennis coach.
When Andy comes out of the hole, he is dejected. He is disheveled. He's lost hope, it seems like.
Yeah, and Red is pretty freaked out over seeing him
like that. And the quote is, I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really: get busy living or get busy dying.
He tells him about
Teowataneo.
I was looking for the name.
Teowataneo. I think it's more as
Zewataneo.
Yeah.
There's a Z and an H in there. I don't know how you use them. Zewataneo.
Yep.
Then tells him that if he ever gets out, like,
go look for a box.
Go for a little box by this tree out in the countryside.
Underneath a piece of volcanic glass. We'll have to pry it up to see what's inside.
Has this conversation, then they go back to dinner, and oh my goodness, the guy that likes the Hank Williams music, that prisoner, I forget what that character's name is. It's the Sadler guy.
Hey, William Sadler. Is that Haywood?
Is it Haywood? Yep. Yeah. Tells him, just kind of talking about, he seems like he was weird. He asked for some rope.
Yeah.
And Red was like, what? It's like he asked for
a length of rope.
He asked for a length of rope and you gave it to him? He's like, well, I didn't know.
And wonderful, again, like a shot and a chaser. The shot was the setup and the payoff. The setup was Brooks. Like, oh man, someone killed himself. You know that people, when they're in dire straits and when they're desperate enough, they will kill themselves.
Yeah.
And the prison will push them to do that. And so you're just like Red. You're expecting that. That's what you think happened.
Yeah.
But no, that scene when they ripped it was Raquel Welch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In the little fur bikini or whatever.
How about you, fuzzy britches?
How about you, fuzzy britches? Yeah, and he throws the chess piece, and you hear it tick 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 tick. There aren't many movies that have had that great a reveal. Like I said,
there's a handful of experiences you wish you could bottle somehow.
Yeah.
To just experience it again, because you just never get it. It's never the same the second time. It's the second time when you show it to somebody else, like your kids or something, and you get to see them do it and watch their face is a different experience. But then after that, it's like it just doesn't happen again. And that scene when it goes through and you hear the little rock thing, you're like, oh my Lord.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The big reveal, the feeling of elation when you realize, oh, he got out. Yeah.
That'd be a coffee service, the greatest reveals ever. That has to be.
Yeah.
Like I'd have to struggle and do some research to find one that's better than that. There are some that will rival it, I guess, but there's just that one's so good.
Well, we have spoke about, because this is our main course, and we still have desserts and coffee service, and we have spoke about maybe doing recording in a week or so. We can change our coffee service. Our coffee service is currently Stephen King non-horror films.
Yeah.
And you've talked about how you'd like the Green Mile to be its own thing. You could just talk about that by itself.
Yeah.
We could change it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. And we can find some other reveals and come back to.
Oh, I'm sure.
To reveals. I think Green Mile sticks with the theme of this because you got the same director.
Absolutely.
Same
director, same.
It is a follow-up. The follow-up movie to Shawshank. It's the next thing they did. So
sounds good to me.
So yeah, but then from there, you start to get the little back scenes of him scraping on the wall, and that he was just in there and he was putting it in his pockets, and he'd walk out every day and just drop a little bit of it out of down his pants leg into the yard. And you just think about it, he dug probably a 50-foot at least tunnel, maybe longer than that, and how long that would have taken, and just how devoted you are. But if you ever wanted to try to relate that experience, just go sit in a room and just have no TV, no phone or anything, and just sit there. See how long you can just stand to sit there and just think about it. That's what you do for every day of the week.
And he was there, 30 years? 40 years?
That's the slow drip of water eroding something there that he, like I said, he probably had that dug out in probably the first 10 years.
One of the few unbelievable parts about the film, I felt, was when it shows the hole that he busted open in the sewage pipe. His head could barely fit through that.
Yeah.
And he squeezes down in there. He was thin, but come on.
He's a big guy. That's the kind of stuff. That's my horror movie. I always go back to the scene from Aliens where the Lance Henriksen, the droid guy,
he's kind of shimmying.
If I am anything, I'm claustrophobic.
Okay.
And the idea of doing that is just, it tightens my chest up just to think about that stuff. And they show him doing the same thing there, but he's in a sewage pipe, so he's like throwing up on himself while he's crawling through it. And
how many football fields did they say it was? It was it was multiple football fields.
Yeah, so 300-400 yards at least, maybe a half mile. I forget what it's supposed to be, but you could put me in a pipe for 10 meters and I'd be freaking out.
After he gets out, we get that iconic shot of him looking up into the rain. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, then it goes on to kind of does it go right into Red's?
Pretty much. I think the next scene after that is the hearing with Red.
Yeah.
His parole hearing.
Yeah.
And that was interesting because he kind of gave up hope.
Yeah.
Once he gave up, maybe I don't know what. Yeah, he just kind of didn't care anymore. Like it showed us before a parole hearing in the beginning where he was kind of like schmoozing the patrol hearing, the people on the board, trying to tell them what they want to see, want to hear. And on the second parole hearing that we see, he's being direct, and he's just like, I don't care. Look, it doesn't matter what I say. You're gonna stamp your little paper there, and I'm gonna stay here. So just stamp away and let me get on with my day.
It's the first time he was ever honest.
Right, and they're like, hey, all right, see you later. Bye.
Tell my kids all the time, you'll be in way less trouble with me if you're honest. I hope you get through something if you tell me the truth. If you lie to me, we're gonna go to places you don't want to go.
And he gets out and he goes to the same room as Brooks. And same grocery store as Brooks.
They kind of give you that little, because he goes, he's working at the store and has to get permission from the guy to go pee. And
it feels like, boss, can I take a pee break?
Can't squeeze a drop without permission.
Yeah.
And kind of sets up that little thing too. It's like, is he seriously, just because he gave you that kind of I don't care anymore speech, is he just going to go do the same thing that Brooks did?
Definitely, they play with the audience really well there. Because you're thinking he's going to kill himself.
Yeah.
because the way he's talking is kind of like he's giving up hope.
When he talks in his little narration part of that too, he talks about all this stuff, but at the base of it all, he misses his friend,
Mm-hmm.
and he's probably experiencing a loneliness that he hadn't had for a long time because they really were. If there's a best friends movie, that's a great one. I mean,
and then he adds next to Brooks was here, because before Brooks died, he wrote on the rafters, Brooks was here. He had So was Red. And you see that he's, for the second time in his life, he's breaking the law. He's breaking his parole.
Yeah.
And he goes and finds the box, which Andy clearly put there after he got out, because he knew he was getting out. It's got money and a postcard, right?
He sent him a postcard.
He sent him a postcard. Well, that's when he was still in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just...
Well, it's got a letter.
I think it was just a letter and the money.
Yeah, it was a letter, because it was like, if you've gone this far, hopefully you'll go a little further.
Yeah, I think he sent him a postcard while he was in prison that didn't say a thing, but it was from Zihuatanejo. Or maybe it wasn't there. It was like wherever. It was from where he crossed the border. So It was a different town.
Right.
But yeah.
Because on the postcard, it's like, you remember the name, right? And Morgan Freeman says Zihuatanejo. And I remember thinking when I first saw it, I wouldn't have remembered that name.
Again, we're not sitting in a bare bones room
right
every day. I think at one point I've been like, what's the name of that town again? Let me write that down. Let me write it on my wall.
I wrote down so he gets on a bus, goes and finds Andy. And I wrote down what he said there, because I thought it was nice. He says, I find I'm so excited I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. I think it's the excitement only a free man can feel. A free man at the start of a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope I can see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope. Mm-hmm. Last line of the movie. I hope. That's great.
Yep.
Which is that's pretty much the thesis of the entire film is hope.
Yeah.
The theme. Little note that reunion scene was shot in St. Croix, and because of the nature of novels, it wasn't in the novel, and they production convinced the Frank Darabont to shoot it, and he was like, I don't know. They said, look, shoot the scene. If you don't like it, you don't have to include it. Yeah. What production was saying is you need to give the audience something. After you put them through all this, you put them through, you gotta give them something, and I think it's great.
I had that noted earlier when I was talking about the book that it's only 128 pages. The Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It is the same basic plot points. There's not really any variation in what happens. It's just that he expands on it so much. The biggest probably variation in it all is that Red is a white Irish guy with red hair.
I have a list of variations. I'd like to talk about them.
I think he actually kind of gives you a pretty clever nod there in the movie.
He says, maybe it's because I'm Irish.
They ask him something about it, and he's just like, maybe because I'm Irish.
Yeah. I always took it, because they didn't explicitly say this, but I always took it that he was caught red-handed.
Yeah.
Is that the feeling you got too? Or?
I took it as it was a nod to the fact that you changed me from a
red-headed Irishman,
a paper white Irish guy with red hair, to Morgan Freeman. And it's like, we can address that with one line and fix that. It's like, maybe because I'm Irish.
And that's interesting, because like I saw the film before I read the novella. So you read the novella before you saw the film. So interesting perspectives.
Yeah, the book came out in 1982. I can't remember. My dad had all of those things sitting on shelves. I know I read the ones in From a Buick 8 before I read this one. And there was another, Skeleton Crew was the one that had multiple short stories. I think I read that, and then I came back and did this one. And some of those, you're talking about me reading those in the late 80s, early 90s. So we're a little bit outside of the bounds of my
memory
of the storage on this Macintosh Color Classic that's sitting on my neck.
All right, so I did look up the titles of the different short stories that was in the different seasons collections.
Yeah.
And it was Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. That subtitle was Hope Springs Eternal.
Yeah, yeah.
Apt Pupil was The Summer of Corruption, which had a film, Apt Pupil.
Yeah.
The Body was Fall from Innocence, had a film, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, The Breathing Method was A Winter's Tale, not adapted, currently in development hell. Really, currently not in development is really what it seems like.
Yeah.
They've tried to do it, but it ain't working out.
I guess my thing with that movie or that story is like, what would be your point of the movie? That there was a cool breathing technique, because that's really
that doesn't come into play later.
That's why she's able. Her
But
body is able.
At him as an adult, he doesn't. There's nothing.
I think it's just that
because
of that breathing technique, that's how he gets delivered, and he goes on to live a great life,
a normal life. See what, like I said, I haven't read it, so I'm not sure. But what I would expect from that setup is that because his father is still alive, right?
Yeah.
So his father would also teach him the breathing technique, and it would give him some sort of superpower kind of thing. That's what I would expect from that setup.
Or he would be
able to talk to his mom or something.
He'd be teaching it to thousands
other
of people.
Women. Yeah.
It'd be a way to be the 20-minute video you could buy to how to survive in a crisis or something. Again, I don't think I probably could get there if you gave me about a year, but I don't know if I could get that into a story I'd really want to put on film until it's kind of a neat monkey's paw type story, where there's a thing, but it's not really there's not a starting and an end to a story like that. It's just sort of here's a cool short story idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of short stories, is you can kind of have this idea that there's no way I can flesh this out into a novel, but I thought of this and this is cool. So here's a short story with it.
Stories need to be as long as they need to be.
Yeah.
I think that's how I feel about the length of novels or length of movies or TV shows or whatever. It should be as long as it needs to be and no longer. Because like TV shows have a problem with, they tell the story they want to tell them, like, well, people like this, let's keep going.
I've got
no, stop.
Ongoing story that I want to write. I have the ending and I have the beginning. And I have a path for kind of where to start going with it, but I don't really know what to do in the middle. We'll talk about it sometimes, but
yeah, I'd like to talk about it with you, but let me suggest or I'm gonna ask you, don't put it into AI.
Oh no,
yeah, because that'll taint it.
I'm not going to not going to throw it out there because I'll play online, and when I'm filming stuff for like the Pokemon channel, and I think there's just such a desire of people that are just mining for content. I played a deck the other day for like 3 games online one night just to record a couple games with it, and it showed up 2 days later, card for card, on an article on a website, and I'm like,
that's irritating.
How did that even? It's not that these people that have channels do their stuff. It's like they have a whole team of people that are helping them look for ideas because they need new ideas and new ideas just so they can say, hey, look what I came up with. It's like, you didn't come up with crap. You had somebody that you pay found it and gave it to you.
Right.
I'm not about to put an idea for a unique story out there because it'll be like, so much for that.
I have played around with the AI creation of stories just for fun. And one of the things I did, this was a couple years ago too, is I just told AI, hey, give me an MCU character that is unlike any other MCU character. And
Powder Toast Man.
It actually gave me a character that I thought was, I'll tell you about it more in detail at the time. I'm not going to go into it here, but a character that I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
So now you know how everything that Marvel and Disney's been made for the last 5-6 years.
I don't know.
There's somebody sitting there who's like, I got to come up with something. AI, tell me something.
I guarantee you that's happening across all industries right now.
Yeah.
Because they're just using AI to
the bonus with me
regurgitate.
Is that I don't know how to use it enough to where I'm safe from doing that, because I just don't know how. I'd have to call somebody and ask them, how do you do that? How do you use the AI? Is it on the Facebook?
No, it's on the Twitters. But there are some differences from the novel and the film. And I'm going to tell you about two differences that I don't know if misremembering is right, but two impressions I got. I'll tell you as we go through them from the novel that I guess were wrong, because Andy is described as a short. And what I did was I went and looked at like the list of like the difference between the book and film to make sure I was right.
Yeah.
Andy is described as a short, neat little man with sandy hair or messy hair or mousy hair or something like that, and he has glasses. So he's more of a little squirrely dude. That's fine.
Yep.
For some reason, when I read the novel, I thought maybe it was the short part, but I thought he was pudgy. I thought he was kind of like a little fat guy.
I don't remember.
No. What I looked explicitly for that. I was like, well, how is Andy described in the film? And I've got a couple of people saying how he's described, and none of them said anything about him being pudgy. So that was just something, for some reason, when I read the novel, I got that impression in my head, and that colored like how Andy was in the novel for me.
Yeah. And this is way outside of my memory. Does the little fat dude that comes in and gets beaten to death on the first night, does that happen in the book?
I don't think so.
Because I remember he was a little fat, doughy guy. But
that could have definitely been it. Where
that's my problem when I get this far removed time wise from stuff where I'm trying to remember a book that I read.
I mean, I read the novel like 20 years ago.
4 decades,
yeah,
3.5 decades ago.
Yeah,
and
2 decades for me.
Then I'm mixing in a film that I've watched, probably 30 times.
He was, and I do think being a short, neat little man with glasses, that's not really Tim Robbins, but quiet, intelligent, meticulous, methodical. Yes.
Yeah.
Nailed it on that part.
Yeah.
Red was described as an Irishman with red hair. Fine. That's one of those things where I'm 100%, probably because I saw Shawshank before, but I'm 100% fine with the casting of Red. Like you said, they did kind of nod to the original character.
I don't mind a race swap in a movie when it's for a character that can play the character that you want. When you do it just to be like, we're going to make a black Superman because you just want to do that, whatever.
Yeah, you cast the character.
Of all the Stephen King stuff, the Dark Tower thing, as awful as that movie attempt was, they cast Idris Elba to play Roland, and I was like,
when, like you said, he was picturing a Clint Eastwood character.
I was like, I'm not terribly upset with that because Idris Elba is a great actor. And if he could pull it off, that's fine. And then, of course, they gave him a script that was a piece of poo smeared on a piece of toilet paper.
I haven't seen the film, but I feel like the Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black was more egregious casting than Idris Elba as the gunslinger.
I could go to an AC/DC concert and find a better Man in Black than Matthew McConaughey.
All right. No.
I could list off 30 people just sitting here that would be a better one, and then that would be without internet access to even look up some people. But
I'll see that movie someday, but not today.
I've never been bothered by that because one, there was a pretty big time jump between me reading it and the movie getting made. But two, Morgan Freeman is so good in it. I mean, who cares? He
nailed it. He's so iconic to that role that I'm happy with saying if he didn't get cast in that as that character, the movie would not be the cultural powerhouse that it is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Who would have replaced him? I mean, James Caan would have been as close as I could come to. If I was imagining Red from that and was trying to go through actors, at least at the time that the movie came out and that I saw this or that I read this and all that, that's probably who I would have imagined. Because I mean, who else is a famous Hollywood? I mean, James Caan isn't exactly a redhead, but he kind of is. I mean, your other guy would have been, oh my goodness, what is Batman's butler in
which Batman?
In all the Christian Bale movies.
Michael Caine.
Yeah. Maybe a Michael Caine or something, but
no. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I mean, you can. When you put him up against Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine would have been horrible. If you had been given it as Michael Caine, you'd be
originally.
So I mean, that's the casting problem, or the casting of that is not a problem at all. It was just I think it probably the way the movie played out could have been as good of a movie, but I mean, just Morgan Freeman just sort of adds that extra to it. It's the script and the story is so good. I think if you had a good actor in it, it would have been fine.
Right.
With somebody else, but Morgan Freeman just makes it that much better.
Iconic.
Just
yeah,
makes it
absolutely.
that much better. I mean,
let's see. The next difference that I noted was Boggs was beaten by the guards because Andy bribed them. Andy had a bunch of money when he went into prison in the novel. He shoved like $500 up his butt.
Yeah.
So that
about that.
Though it wasn't really because of like some fealty or loyalty to Andy, because Andy was helping him out.
Yeah.
So I think that really helped in the movie over the novel show the relationship of the guards versus the prisoners, especially Andy and Hadley.
Well, if you kind of look, I mean, the Green Mile and this are not related. They almost kind of exist in the same world, though. If you even look at how the guards dressed and everything like that,
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some like nods to the Shawshank Redemption and the Green Mile, like you said, same director. So
given that characterization to the guards was important in both movies. Mm-hmm. Like I said, while you're just on that part for a second, Clancy Brown playing Hadley was his name.
Yeah,
is that right?
Hadley.
I mean, good Lord, talk about somebody that got the role right.
Yeah,
I can't think of somebody else that could have done that better. He's just like Tim Robbins a little bit. That he was in Highlander before that and a lot of other small roles.
Okay, yeah.
But this launched him into everything. Both of them just kind of one of those things. It's like after you become a Top Gun pilot and in the Air Force, you get your choice of duties after that, and it seems like they both sort of had their choices of dramatic roles, funny roles. I mean, Clancy Brown became Mr. Krabs.
Right.
Probably made more money as Mr. Krabs than I could ever even fathom.
And see, I don't know if it's just because of my age when I saw the Shawshank Redemption, but I do feel like you said, the Clancy, all three of those main characters, Clancy Brown, Tim Robbins, and Morgan Freeman, I really didn't know them before this film.
I knew him because Highlander was a movie that we owned, and I watched it a lot.
I saw Highlander, but I didn't know him from Highlander. There's a lot of actors like that. Like I didn't know them from the particular film.
It was when I recognized him in the movie. Mm-hmm. I already hated him because he was that guy in Highlander.
Okay,
he's such a good bad guy in Highlander, and then you're introduced to him here just beating this poor fat guy to death in the movie, and you're just like, man, I hope somebody gets that guy, and then just to have a little redemption arc for him, but it's still not a redemption arc because he goes down with the prison.
Yeah, cries like a little girl.
Cries like a baby when they're taking him away. And I think that's kind of he and Andy kind of fell out in the movie. So it was sort of like that's what you get.
And a lot of these changes, I think, is probably because of Frank Darabont, from what you've told me about him. Yeah. Because in the novel, Hadley just has a minor heart attack and retires. Yeah. He well before the scandal breaks or anything like that. He just leaves.
I don't know the background of how and when Stephen King wrote that story because they published the book in 1982.
Right.
But
I mean, he only started in the mid 70s. So
if you talk about how he wrote The Dark Tower, he wrote The Dark Tower over the period of 3 decades, mm-hmm. and went back and changed it and rewrote stuff and actually had released. I think he released a couple of the books, and then he actually went back and re-edited them and released them again. So that Stephen King doesn't have a perfect record of releasing flawless material. I mean, this is only a 128-page story. You can't develop but so many things there, and that's one thing that Frank Darabont is just amazing at is characterization. I mean, we need to get The Mist onto something to do together soon.
1981 is when he actually wrote this story.
Okay, so that was pretty close, and that sounds to me like he wrote it. Then they published the book, so he didn't spend but so much time on it.
I would be surprised if it was one of those hey, we need something from you.
Early 80s, it might have been I got me a good batch of cocaine. Guess what I just thought of?
I could have been it. Couple of other notables. Tommy is transferred, not killed.
Yeah.
Norton resigns because of the scandal, doesn't kill himself.
Yeah, I remember that.
Brooks lives out his life in an old folks' home, doesn't kill himself. So that like these are really like impactful moments in the films that just don't happen in the book.
Yeah, I want to talk about the myth so bad because I'm starting to be rocking back in my fourth about. Oh, I want to tell you about this.
So let's see. In the film, he changes his poster multiple times. First it was Rita Hayworth. At the end it was Raquel Welch. And in the novel, I don't remember him ever changing his poster.
It's one poster.
It's one poster, and that's why it's Rita Hayworth. And that's I guess that's why they didn't bring the Rita Hayworth part over, is because it just starts as Rita Hayworth.
Yeah. And there's one of the times they're in the theater, they're watching. I don't remember what the Rita Hayworth movie is, where they're all waiting for her to like
Gilda.
Turn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where they waiting for her to turn and flip her hair back, and they're all just like, yeah.
Well, that's when he asks for the poster itself. He's like, I want you to get her. He was like, well, it'll take some time, but I can do it.
Yeah.
So the Andy not being pudgy was one of the things that I was misremembering from the novel, and the other one is this: in the novel, before Andy became incarcerated, he set up Peter Stevens, an alias. He liquidated all of his assets, and he set up Peter Stevens, set up investment accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember to the novel, that was where he got all of his money when he escaped.
Yeah.
Now, from what I was reading, when I was looking up, apparently in the novel, he does steal money from the warden, like when he leaves.
Yeah.
Because he was using Peter Stevens to launder the money. So he did have access to that money also. Yeah. I didn't remember that. I always thought it was something he set up before he went in. And I'm like, there's no redemption there. There's no revenge there. It's like the part that was great is that he stole all the warden's money.
Yeah.
If he just said, because he had forethought, he set it up before he went into prison. What does that matter? Okay, he had forethought. Good for you, Andy. But he did set up Peter Stevens before he went to prison. So that in the film, that was something he did all from prison.
Yeah. Yeah, he applied for the Social Security.
Yeah, he said you do it all by mail. Yeah. So I do still say that I think the fact that he had the forethought to do that before he went into prison showed that he was thinking he's going to escape or get out someday. That does something to the narrative for me that makes this one of the few like novels or books that I think is worse than the movie. I think the movie's better than this. I really do.
Well, we need to watch The Mist.
My last note is the name Peter Stevens is Randall Stevens in the film as a nod to Randall Flagg.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, they're there's so many things they link between Stephen King movies that are all tied to.
What's the whole point of the Dark Tower, isn't it?
Yeah, and they always tie stuff to like certain towns like Derry,
mm-hmm.
From it, and it's even in the Green Mile. I think it's in Hearts and Atlantis, but you have characters that are kind of from the Dark Tower world that make appearances and things, and sometimes it's not even like really obvious. It's just like if you know Stephen King stuff, you're like, oh wow, that was a low person or whatever. And Randall Flagg is basically Satan walking the earth, or at least one of his people,
right?
One of his top people. So he's always there. He's in the background of every place there's evil.
I feel like Stephen King probably explicitly, but with stories as a whole, probably with movies, the more that you are aware of, the more like tendrils you see. Oh, that seems like it's a nod to this. For example, I watched season 1 of Severance. This was one of the ones I was going to talk about, but I didn't. I watched season 1 of Severance, and then I'm currently watching season 2. In between there, I read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And there is a mythical character in Severance named Kier, which reminds me of like the religious figure in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And like, I'd love to know. I'm sure I can ask Google and it'll spit something out at me. Was that inspired? Because it seems so very similar.
I think it's one of those things you'd love to sit them down and see if they would actually could give you an honest answer, because I guess having to navigate Hollywood, that they have to sort of talk around things all the time.
Mhm.
So much of what Stephen King writes has so much biblical reference in it that it's really hard to figure out what it is where he's trying to go. Frank Darabont, I think, is probably even more so in his stories, and people have asked him specifically about that, and he always answers with that he wants people to find their own meaning in the film.
Okay.
Which I think is the way of saying that exactly, you saw what I did, but I want to keep working in Hollywood, so I can't profess to be religious or Christian or anything else. I have to live in y'all's little world. So, but I think there's a lot of that in this movie. People could take whatever meaning they want from it, but I think this is a very Christ-like story where they are kind of condemned to this place until they actually, neither one of them get out until Andy or Red, until after they kind of confess their sins. Andy says that I killed my wife. I didn't kill her physically, but the way I lived killed her. And he finally admits that. Red goes to the parole thing. It's like, dude, I'm a young kid that made a stupid choice, and I've paid for it. And what you do to me at this point, I don't care. And that they don't get neither one gets salvation until they kind of confess their sins, basically. And
I mean, it is called redemption, so
yeah, it's
it definitely has those themes in it.
There's so many things you could kind of tie to that. To me, the roof always seemed to me like the Last Supper. The warden is 100% to me an image of Satan, where he's saying, worship me, but then he does horrible things all the time, but he's claiming to be pious and to be righteous, but it's like, only if you're loyal to me and you worship to me, otherwise.
That quote, he said, watch ye therefore ye not know when the master of the house cometh.
Sounds like something the devil might roll out there.
Yeah, that definitely the warden was considering himself the master of the house in that. Absolutely,
knowing exactly what he's doing the whole time, and claiming to be that righteous figure is 100% one of those things the devil might do. I think you have to kind of look at Andy's time in the prison, and even time crawling through the hole, as sort of crawling out of a tomb type thing. There's a lot of things there that I guess against Darabont says he wants you to be able to find your own meaning there. There'll be people that will not see that there. That's what I saw watching it, especially watching it on multiple rewatches and stuff. And I'd love to have that conversation with Darabont and King to know, did you do that purposely, or is it just that, does this happen accidentally when you try to portray good and truth in film?
I personally would lean toward that. I think it's that the themes are timeless, and you find the same themes in the Bible. It's through literature. It's through the hero's journey. Like Jesus follows a hero's journey. It definitely could have been specifically intentional, but I think a lot of times it's unintentional, because that's the way we're made.
Yeah.
To
It's like you don't know if you need somebody to tell them that it's okay to say that's what it is, or to point out to them that you know what you just did, right? And then be like, oh wow, I didn't realize I did that, or if they would be like, I completely didn't mean to do that, Hollywood,
I'm happy them not saying explicitly.
Yeah, no.
One of my big complaints about modern film is they beat you over the head with what they're trying to say. And
I love his response saying that I just want people to find their own meaning, which means it's there for you. If you want to see what's actually there, that's fine. If you need to twist it another way to make it fit your little view of stuff, then that's fine too. But yeah, that's even. I have to try to say it again. Zawataneo.
Say Wataneo.
It's a pretty heavenly place
Yeah.
to end the movie up in, and it's I think a pretty good allegory or whatever the right word is that they escaped hell.
They reached salvation.
They got
That,
salvation.
like I said, that
made it.
wasn't in the novel, so that would definitely be a Frank Darabont edition.
Yeah, I think it maybe comes more from him than Stephen King, but Stephen King does the same thing. He does that on so many books where he throws in something kind of religious, but doesn't really give you the answer. He just kind of puts it there as like it's there if you want to see it, and if you don't see it, that's fine too. And I don't know what his intentions are there, if he how much he purposely writes that way, or how much that it just kind of turns out that way. It's like the guy that
maybe
did,
somewhat culture,
kind of like the guy that did Hill House and those things.
That's a little more explicit.
Well, that guy though he was a strict Catholic, and apparently is kind of not stepped away from his faith, but is very against the church and stuff. But his movies still kind of come back and give you that message, and it's almost like he can't not do it, even if he doesn't want to, if he wants to write the actual story and write a good story.
And I think most writers who are born and grow up in America, they're going to have somewhat of Christian influences, because that's what our culture has sprouted from.
Maybe
even
this
our,
is the last generation of people that will have it, because it's a disappearing thing in this culture at the moment. But
we'll see.
We'll see if there's anybody else that can pick up that kind of torch and carry it on.
Well, we see what the writers are capable of producing from the culture that we've had for the past 15 years. So
yeah,
maybe they'll turn around.
There's
no subtlety at all anymore.
No ability to create anymore. It's why they're just mining, trying to find old stuff to reproduce again, because there's no. It's either they don't know how to tell this story, or they just feel like with their group of friends and the world they live in, they can't tell the story. And I don't know which it is. I hope it's that maybe they still see that these are the good stories that people want, and they just live in a group of people that they just don't feel comfortable being able to write and tell that kind of story.
Did you see F1?
I did not.
This is just a tiny little detail of F1. F1's not based on anything. It's not based on a real person or anything like that. Brad Pitt's character in that film, every time he goes to get into race cars, the F1 seat, he does a little kneel, kind of bows his head.
Yeah.
Looks like he's saying a little prayer. So I don't think it's across the board that they can't put it in. I think people are starting to pull away from like the idea that you have to include certain things. And you write the story to tell whatever story you want to tell. Write that story. Don't worry about outside people. And as long as you get people to fund that's the issue, the funding. Then you're good.
A little bit of like my hope. I'm talking about hope from this movie is that I used to follow sports all the time. I've kind of just fallen away from it because the same forces that have attacked films have attacked sports and tried to turn it into something that it's not anymore. But you have this like generation of people, these last couple of years of kids coming out of college, that if you put a mic in front of them, they thank God, they thank their family and all this stuff. And you sit there and watch these reporters that are answering them, like you can tell they're panicking, like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do here? Do I walk away? Do I take the mic away? And they probably have somebody in their ear saying, stop. He's talking about God. And you see these guys that are being pretty unapologetic about it. So, and those guys have reach. Those guys have got the huge social media accounts and stuff like that. So you see that kind of reassertion in a group of very young people. So maybe there's a few writers out there that are kind of looking to this kind of mindset and story where you can take a biblical idea and not make a Bible movie about it.
Right.
If that's the right way to say it.
Well, kind of like I was saying before, I do think a lot of it is just our culture. I think a lot of it that's the structure of what we know a narrative to be. Yeah. It's baked into it.
Yeah.
And I do like films, and I think I like your insights for the film. I like it when you can kind of, like like Frank was saying, see your whatever the message you want to see is. That's the message it is.
I don't know
like that.
how many times ago watching it. It's been years ago that I was watching the scene there, and just the way they're sitting around, and just something hit me. It's like it's kind of because I'd already kind of had that thought about him crawling out of the tomb.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is kind of like the Last Supper scene, isn't it? And it was like
that the crawling out of the tomb as being an allegory for or crawling out of the sewer as being an allegory for the tomb. There are people who would say that's like the birth canal.
Yeah.
So that they're definitely different people can come up with different conclusions based on their what they're bringing to the film, which is fine.
And who creates that birth canal? Same place.
Yeah. But it's this. I don't just explicitly recommend the novella. If you've seen the movie, you've seen the story.
Yeah, it's 128 pages though.
Yeah, it's short.
If you even read at my pace, you can read it in a couple days.
Yeah, I had.
And I'm a slow reader. I'm C spot ran to get. I can't read fast.
I remember I'd never owned the book. I borrowed it. That's why I was like, I just want to read the Shawshank Redemption because I love the movie. And I read it. Bye. Thanks.
I think on anything, I always suggest watch the movie first and
Absolutely.
then go back and read the book. And so most of the time, it's going to be the other way. You're going to be blown away by the book. You'll be not blown away by the book on this one, but it's still good to see the two.
Mm-hmm.
If you really like the movie and you're a fan of the stuff, and you like Stephen King, you like stuff that Darabont done.
Usually the novel adds to what you know.
Yeah.
This doesn't add anything. It just gives you a little. There's some differences. That's it.
But, sometimes I've said that about other people that make movies. That sometimes some people make a great movie when they collaborate with somebody else, and if you turn them loose on their own, they're horrible. You talk about like Danny Boyle and
cough, Zack Snyder, cough.
Or we talked about when we watched the Sinners thing that guy had done some other stuff, and it's like one of his first things by himself, and I thought it was kind of disastrous. But the same thing with like Alex Garland and Danny Boyle. When they're together, they're amazing. When Alex Garland goes and does his own thing, it's sometimes awful. At least not amazing. Sometimes it's not terrible, but with that Civil War movie was sort of like, why did you film this? You made a movie that was called Civil War that was about how reporters get their feelings hurt.
Oh, okay. You said Civil War. I was racking my brain. I was like, he made a Civil War film? It was like a modern American Civil War.
Most of the people that saw that were like, this was a Civil War film?
Yeah.
Because it was just Kirsten Dunst complaining
yeah.
about how hard it was to be a reporter. It's like, okay. Maybe there was an idea here, but I don't think it came into fruition. Yeah, the Frank Darabont Stephen King mix, if they can, while they're both still alive, I know Stephen King is getting old, if they can do anything else together, they should do it while they still both know where they are.
I mean, he's got to be in his 70s. Frank, 66.
Yeah, no, Frank's not super old.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's been able to tie into so many different franchises, because he's grown up through a lot of the same stuff that we have, where he's a sci-fi guy and a horror guy and all that. Stephen King may be on the
Who
last
is 77.
If his Twitter account is any sign, he may have already lost his mind. But he may have never had it. He's been out there. I mean,
he continues to be a prolific writer. I remember at one point he said he was retiring, but I guess that didn't take.
They've had to. The first story they've had to fix. I mean, they had to change it so you could actually have that in a theater.
Only one scene.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty bad fix. Or a bunch of teenage boys all have to gang pile and rape a teenage girl. It's like, let's change that. I'm not sure what batch of cocaine you were in when you did that one, but that was the Gorilla Panic bag, I think.
Yeah. I don't want to end on that. Come on.
Well, my point is that
All right, see you later, guys.
Stephen King and Frank do mesh together. Whatever is lacking from one, Stephen King kind of gives you that good outline for a story. And Frank, like I said, I had that's my very first note up here: Shawshank '94, Frank Darabont, Stephen King's Fixer. and he is.
So it's Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, Mist. What else? Have they worked on anything else?
I don't know. Like I said, I was.
2007.
I know, like he kind of peeled off to do the Walking Dead thing, and I think career wise, I think he was sort of thinking this is going to be what I do for a while, because I think he was really into the Walking Dead stuff. He really wanted to be involved in that. And I know he approached Robert Kirkman about doing it and talked about how he wanted to develop it. And Kirkman was like, "This would be awesome." It was having that, being a comic book writer and having a dude come to you and be like, "Dude, let's do this to your comic." I'm sure he was just like, "Yes,
it's
come
fantastic."
on."
And that looks to be the last thing that Frank Darabont has done is The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Like I said, that I forget what else of this. Yeah, these were all prior to that, where the things that they list him as a script doctor, where it's literally just, dude, I can't make this part work. I'd love to know what he did to Saving Private Ryan. I haven't looked into that, but he was listed as a script doctor there. And again, how many of those actors in that? Well, good lord, almost every actor in Hollywood was in Saving Private Ryan, but another Tom Hanks film, so he may have come into that as a request from Hanks or something. Because like I said, I know that he really attaches to a set of actors, I think, that you see through stuff.
Well, unfortunately, there's really not anything to look forward to from him because he doesn't seem to be doing anything other than that right now.
Yeah.
And Stephen King's always making something, so.
Yeah, I mean,
he's always doing something.
There's a pile of, like I said, if there would be a dream project to have happen during my lifetime and before Stephen King leaves, and I guess even maybe after he does pass on, as Frank Darabont's young enough to do it, would be to take over the Dark Tower and bring that into fruition.
Since he has experience with TV shows, it'd be cool to see it as a.
The original Ron Howard version that they tried to sell was movie, series, movie, series, movie to do the whole thing.
Wow.
Trying to do it through HBO, and nobody would commit to it because it was such a huge gamble to commit to that much stuff. And I think Howard was like, if I'm doing it, we're doing this, and if you're not going to commit to it and sign a contract, then we're not doing it. And it ticks me off on that is that they lost oh my gosh, it's not Benicio del Toro, the other guy. Is your internet on?
Yeah.
I gotta think of a movie. Look up
Javier
Bardem. Thank you.
I knew you
knew exactly what I was talking about.
I was like, what was he in? He's in Dune.
I was trying to think of a movie. I can picture scenes from different movies, and I was trying to think of the movie where
he played Psychopath. What was that movie? No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men. And I was thinking of the Michael Fassbender movie.
He was in F1.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah. He was like a friend to Brad Pitt.
That's the Michael Fassbender movie where he like tries to just sell like drugs one time and it just blows up and just turns into a nightmare. It's it's a great movie. It's Brad Pitt and him and I cannot. It's The Counselor.
The Counselor.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah.
It is the best like public service announcement for stay out of crime if you're not a criminal.
He was in Mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the husband.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Ron Howard had him in agreement
slated
to be Roland from the Dark Tower. And I was just sitting there thinking, Clint Eastwood's too old. Who in the world else could even play that role? And when they said him, I was like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Yeah. He would be an amazing Roland. And waited too long. He's probably gotten too old to kind of hit that spot.
Yeah, they'd get like Chris Pratt or something.
Nah. It'd have to be honestly at this point, Aaron Taylor Johnson is so versatile that he's almost I could craft him into a Roland.
Okay.
He's not who I would pick, but at this point it'd be like, tell me somebody that would be better than him.
I like everything I've seen him in. I don't know. Like we talked about him in 28 Years Later. He's a great actor, but I kind of have a hard time seeing him as anybody other than the actor Aaron Taylor Johnson. You know,
you have to be. I mean, how do you find a middle ground between Clint Eastwood and then what's available? You know, if you think there's not a huge pool of like guys that are known for westerns. I mean, there's just not that kind of gruff guy, and that's what you need. I mean, you get into the story of Roland. He gets his fingers cut off. He carries Odetta around in a backpack on his back half the time, and he gets mauled constantly through that story. And it's just like, give me some aspirin. It's just like he's a beast of a dude, but you never think of him as like a giant, Arnold Schwarzenegger type guy. He's just a tough dude that just you can't kill me. And there's not an actor that jumps out. There's the guy from the
Robert Pattinson.
What's the Tron remake? Tron Legacy.
Ares. That's the one.
No, the one that's already happened. The first one.
Legacy.
Legacy.
Well, it wasn't really a remake.
What's his name? Garrett.
Edwards?
That guy is maybe as close as second as I could come.
Garrett Edwards.
Come to.
Garrett Actor.
I'm not sure if he's Garrett or not. It's something with a G.
Headland. Is that him?
Garrett Headland. Is it Garrett? Yeah.
Garrett Headland.
Yeah, that's the clean cut version of him. He's played a lot of like kind of indie roles, or he's sort of like a tough guy that's been in prison and stuff like that. And he plays that role pretty good. I mean, I think Ryan Hurst has probably gotten too old to play.
I've when it's an iconic character like that, a character that's really beloved, I'm always for finding an unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you threw Oscar Isaacs into it, or what's the Mandalorian?
Pedro Pascal.
If you threw that into it, I would take my Dark Tower books to the library and donate them and just be done with it. I'd be like, y'all are never going to get this right, and it's not going to happen in my lifetime, so I'm just going to stop. I've only read the first two Gunslinger books. Yeah.
I could see Michael Fassbender, but he's a little old now.
He's getting old too.
He's getting old. That's the problem, is they wait so long.
Yeah.
To make some of these films.
You have to come through and find just that kind of rough, tough dude. Even the guy that plays from Twister, and he's going to be in the new Running Man and all that. He's too pretty.
Pretty.
Roland's
not supposed to be pretty.
No, he's not. That's the thing about Bardem. He's a manly dude, but he's not a little mousy guy either. He would have been perfect. I couldn't have picked a better person to cast for that. And I think that window is closed, so we'll see. But
we'll see if they do anything.
I doubt.
It probably won't be within the next 5 years.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I know there's people that are even still trying to like work out rights to like do stuff with the Dark Tower. So if you haven't even gotten to an agreement to write screenplays and stuff with it and have the rights to do it yet, you're at least 10 years away from something like that. The guy that did Midnight Mass has talked about wanting to do it, and I think he's the same boat. He has to get all the legal stuff done before he can write his versions of it and present it, I guess. But if you don't know there's any payoff to that, then why would you spend so much time doing it? I think his name's like Callahan.
No idea.
Mike Flanagan.
Okay.
Mike
Callahan.
Yeah.
That's the guy who does the breaks from Tommy Boy.
Oh, gotcha.
But that's pretty much it for the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
It's a great film. I'll watch it again and again and again and again. It's one of the films I watch regularly, not yearly, but regularly.
I very rarely catch it from start to finish. I just see it on and jump in whatever it is, and it's an easy movie to do with after you know the story.
I still have my original DVD. I'll pop that in, play it. All right, well, Joel, it's been fun, man.
Yeah.
So next time we're going to be going through our desserts.
Yes, and that'll be the stuff that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, stuff that we're looking forward to. But I think we're going to do that in a couple of weeks.
It might be a costume change.
We might
have to do that when we have some more time.
That's right. All right, but thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.